we didn't get an error this time.
Hey.
Because I reset everything. Yay! How you doing, David?
Good. How about you, Lem?
I'm doing all right. It's pre-show, everybody, because you know they like to run them ads. So
Yep.
if you're not getting an ad, thank you for subscribing. If you're getting an ad, you can't hear this, but thank you for watching the ad.
Oh, I forgot a fidget. I need to grab a fidget.
Oh yeah, go grab one. Go grab one. You can borrow Lemon Larry if you need him. Lemon Larry. Those of you guys don't know Lemon Larry. That's old school. That's old school G3. Lemon Larry from our friend Innocent Cannibal. Always have a fidget handy with Lemon Larry or Barbara.
That's awesome.
For those of you who are listening to this, you don't know who that is.
The problem is, if I don't have a fidget on my desk, then I just find something near me.
Yeah.
And I have these brass knuckles that I had on my desk one time. I was in a very professional meeting, and they were on my desk. About 45 minutes in, I go to touch my face, and I have the brass knuckles on. And I'd totally forgotten. And it seemed like I was threatening them, because I was just like, it would be a shame if this meeting didn't go well. But it's just because
funny.
I didn't know fidget cube.
Wow, weird ad. Yeah, James, we don't get to pick the ads. I don't know what ad you got, but I know. I get it. I've gotten some ads that I'm like, that is not supposed to be around.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know, James.
Okay.
You can tell us in the Discord which ad you got. You can DM me. Oh, man. All right. So we got the ads are done, I think, for now. We should start this
Fingers
thing.
crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Oh man, that was a quick stream. Yeah. Oh,
Hold on.
now it's black. Now it's starting soon.
Okay, there we
They're
are.
flickering. All right.
Is the flickering back? The flickering was not
Yeah.
there 2 seconds ago.
It's nice that it wasn't flickering the entire time that we were doing like the tech stuff.
Yeah,
And then as
now
soon as we
it's
hit
flickering.
go live. Actually, we had a whole like 10 minutes of or
no
not 10 minutes
flickering.
of pre-show, but like the whole pre-show was not flickering.
I wonder if it's got something to do with. Hold on. And it's usually just me.
Yeah.
Does it have anything to do with this chat box? Nope. Nope.
It's on Discord.
Yeah, it's a Discord thing.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Maybe it's gone?
No, it's there. I'll change the video background and see what happens.
Did you put your finger in a power socket? Yeah, it gives
Oh, now it's
pretty-
even worse. It's even worse.
Wiley, huh?
What about that? Is that worse? That's still a thing.
I mean,
At least now it's like me and not the whole green screen. Like it works.
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Z. I'm sorry, Miss Z. Hi. What? That. No, he just got big hair. He just got big hair. That's all.
It was worse because I was at the coast for camp a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago, and so the thing that I put in my hair to make it all big is sea salt spray.
Sea
That's the
salt
like
spray.
voluminizer. Yeah, that's how you make That's how you get your hair to like have more volume. At least as a guy, I don't know how women do it, but
That's a
so I use sea salt spray, but when I was at the coast, I was like right on the beach too. So I put a bunch of salt spray in there, and then just the actual sea sprayed in my hair as well. So it was very big and going in every direction. It was very funny.
wow. All right. Oh man. Little boy makes friends with a killer. Yeah. Let's thank you. Come on, Twitch. Have you not figured that's literally in the name of our channel? Come on.
What
bro.
part?
God, games, and geekery. Do you think that a little boy makes friends with a killer is kind of our vibe? I don't think it is.
Yeah, I don't know if that totally lines up.
Am I the little boy?
Dude,
or the
okay, so
killer?
this movie, because I loved this movie as a kid.
Yeah.
I don't think I realized how much it affected me. But then I was looking at some of the things about Jesse, the main character.
Yeah.
He hangs out at skate parks. He did graffiti in his youth. He loves killer whales. Maybe I tried really hard to be this kid.
You are
Like,
Jesse, bro.
I mean, I was certainly trying to be. Kid rules.
Man.
Lem is glitching in the Matrix. What if we just had a picture of you in the where your little camera is?
You know what? Let's try it. I'm gonna disconnect that.
Okay.
And let me find something to put in here.
Oh, am I gone?
No, you're still there. It's just me not being
Okay.
on that screen.
Oh, gotcha.
So, hold on. we're gonna find something for me to have in the shot.
I mean, well, are you thinking like, because you have a bunch of pictures of you, or we could go with more of a look-alike scenario. Like I feel like maybe Morgan Freeman in Batman. If we could get Morgan Freeman in Batman in a hat, I feel like we could get pretty close.
All right, we're just gonna do this for now. We'll figure something out, and maybe that'll be our new thing. Every week, I have to have a new picture for myself.
Ooh, I like that.
For now, though,
Yeah,
we'll have that. That'll be me, so that nobody.
Perfect.
We don't have to worry about our friends with epilepsy.
Yeah.
Right.
Put somebody in the hospital.
Yeah. There's that ad again. They do not know our target audience, right? Lem is doing the rape thing again. Z, we know.
Yeah.
All right. So ads came back apparently. That's so weird.
So weird.
Like we've changed the ad stuff several times.
There's nothing you can do. You can't appease the
No.
Twitch will do what it wants with ads.
What, Lemon Spider-Man? That's why I don't play with him in Fortnite.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, guys. All right, should we start it off? We'll start it off. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Bad Gamer and Codger. You can't see me, but I'm pointing. Back with Faith and Film. This is the show where we meet at the crossroads of our geeky passions and our faith in movies. Right? In movies. And Codger picked the movie this week.
Free Willy.
Free
I like it because
Willy.
I've been finding more and more excuses to talk about orcas, like my tattoo. And what better example, what better excuse than Free Willy?
Do you want to start off this week?
Totally.
We should probably do the guessing thing.
Oh yeah, times.
You want to explain it?
Yeah. Okay. So Lem is famous for not always doing an excellent job at finishing the movies. He's seen all of them, but the week of the podcast, he almost never finishes the whole movie. It has happened, but almost never finishes the whole movie. So we like to play a game where we try and guess how long Lem lasted into the movie, and whoever gets closest without going over at the end of the podcast gets a free game. So you pick the genre, then Lem picks the game, and he will gift it to you. It's great.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, Atlas has won twice. He actually won twice in a row, which was super
He's
weird.
entered twice and won twice. He's got 100% win rate.
Yes. So yeah, it's a little weird. I think he's got my computer hacked or something.
He's got cameras set up everywhere.
You do know, you said an hour and 50 minutes, Codger.
Yep.
You know the movie's an hour and 27 minutes, right?
No, it's not.
It's an hour and 27
Free
minutes.
Willy?
Is it 2 hours? Am I looking at my
Free
notes from
Willy.
another?
Time. Yep, hour 52 minutes.
Okay, I wrote down the times from a different movie.
Well.
Well, I know how long I got into this one, but I was looking at, like we said, okay, before we got on, Kaj and I were talking about how this one was on Amazon Video Prime.
Yep.
You could watch it if you have Prime for free. And I got lost in the rabbit hole of what actor is this and what movie have they been in.
Yeah.
So I think I wrote down that.
See,
Free
so
Willy
now
is 2
I'm
hours.
starting to think
Oh.
maybe I am not so confident in my hour and 50 minute guess, but I'm going to stick to it. I
Okay.
still believe. Even though you just found out that the movie is longer than an hour and a half, I still
I never
believe.
look at the times until I stop the movie.
All right. So I love this movie. It was one of those ones that like I watched a million times as a kid, and then I didn't watch it for like 16 years. You know what I mean? So I didn't watch it again until high school, and I was like, "Whoa, I still love this. This is still great." It's definitely showing a little age at this point. It's but it's still really good. It's 30 years old.
Yeah, it shows its age.
Yeah,
this game, I'm just gonna say I remember seeing this movie in the theater.
No way.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay. Okay. So this movie starts with. Okay. I had this realization watching it. This movie starts with a boy being separated from his family and not knowing where his mother is, right?
Yes.
And then we meet Jesse, who is a boy who has been separated from his parents and doesn't know where his mother is. So these two main characters of Willy and Jesse, the first thing we know about both of them is the way that they have been separated from their family and the way that they have been taken out of where they should be, right? And it's pretty clear to everybody, like, the situation is that something is wrong, right? That this is going against the way that things are supposed to be. An orca is supposed to be with its pod. A kid is supposed to be with his mother, right? And things happen, and life gets complicated. It doesn't always go that way, and unfortunately, a lot of the time, the consequences of those actions fall on the kid hardest.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Jesse did nothing wrong, but he has to deal with the reality of his mother's decisions. Willy did nothing wrong, but he has to deal with the consequences of the actions of the people who are capturing whales for profit, right?
Right.
They have a whale of a time. They don't.
Why did you even acknowledge it?
They explicitly do not have a whale of a time.
You gotta learn to read any of the Paul or Crosshair comments and then potentially ignore it.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so I think that, okay, like, so I went to Bible college, and a lot of my peers were very interested in apologetics.
And what, can you explain
it's part
what
of why
apologetics is?
Yeah, apologetics is essentially speech and debate with the goal of convincing somebody to believe in God. I am not a big fan of apologetics because, in my experience, I think trying to logic somebody into such a personal and spiritual decision, I'm not saying it never works and doesn't have any value, but I don't know a lot of Christians who met Jesus because they were convinced with facts and logic. Not saying it doesn't happen.
The way you said it, though, because they were convinced with facts and logic.
It's just not been my experience.
That's
a lot
not
of the
faith.
time when yeah, exactly, you can't write an equation that equals faith at the end. I think that, in my experience, a more powerful way to start conversations is, most people have an inherent sense that this is not the way that the world is supposed to be, that there's something wrong.
Right.
And that is a much easier place to start that conversation. And I think that Willy and Jesse, looking at their life, you're just like, this is so clearly something wrong here. This is so clearly not the way their life is supposed to be. And it's not their fault. It's just the way it is. Psalms 27, 10 and 11 says, "For my father and mother have forsaken me, but the Lord will take me in. Teach me your ways, O Lord, and lead me on the level path because of my enemies. Give me not to the will of the adversaries, for false witnesses have risen against me. They breathe out violence." So is basically praying to God and saying, please take me and guide me, because I have been abandoned by the people who were supposed to protect me, and now I am at the whims of these people who breathe violence. And that is such a that is such good poetry. They breathe violence, right?
James was asking if that was 27.
Psalm 27, 10 through 12. Yeah. So, and that to me describes Jesse and Willy's situations both pretty well to me. It's like they've been abandoned by everybody. They have nothing to lean on. They are desperate for something to lead them on the righteous path, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I was thinking about that, and that, man, I really like it. It breaks my heart, even though I know how the movie goes. It's still like, it's tough to watch, man. Like
that first
little
opening bit, man.
Yeah, real whale captures are kind of sadder than that, even. Like, yeah, because orcas are like insanely intelligent.
Yeah.
And what they will do if they're being pursued, if a whole pod of our orcas is being pursued by whalers, the women and children will dive, and the male orcas will go into like a cove to allow themselves to be captured.
Oh wow.
But whalers have figured that out, so they ignore the males and go after the females and their calves.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's messed up. It's and it has to do again with that feeling of like, this is not the way this is supposed to be. God made these things to exist a certain way, and it doesn't happen naturally to be put in that situation, right? Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, that's my first point. Nice and heavy for you.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. I need a cookie. Some comfort food. Find me a nice heavy brownie. It's like dunk with the white chocolate chips in it. Now I want a brownie. I'm not gonna have one because that's bad for me. But still. Hey Tom, how you doing, buddy? All right, my first point. So the movie starts off with a very nature show film-esque feel.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, Paul, we got your times. We got your time. 34, Tom? Gotcha. If we don't acknowledge the times before by the end of the second point, we will go through and we'll say it, just so that we can get through our points on these. All right, so the movie starts off with a nature show feel, and with like the camera work is unsteady.
Yeah.
To the point that it was very overly noticeable for me as a film guy, as a photographer, as someone that has over the past few years dived deeper into videography, and it was super noticeable, a little bit distracting. I know that's just how it was made back then. They didn't have like the crazy steady cams like we have now, or to be able to get the drone shots or anything like that.
Right.
But it was very noticeable for me, but I had to stop and think, you know what? I never made a full-length feature film.
Yeah.
Right? I never worked with actors that have worked with like Robin Williams and Pauly Shore and Ice Cube and Tom Hanks, Gina Davis. Like, there are actors in this movie that have worked with some of these A-list stars. So I've never worked with anybody like that to make a movie. And I can critique all I want, right, about cinematography.
Yeah.
But my cinematography would come up short to even the first 20 minutes of this movie.
Right. Right.
And I feel like, well, I know that we do the same in our own lives. Like, ooh, that guy is so foul-mouthed. Or, oh, she dresses like that. Or like, oh, they live where? You know, we have all these biases that come out. There are people that rally around those statements. Right? Oh, that guy is so foul-mouthed. Or, oh, she dresses like that. Oh, yeah, she just dressed like that. Oh, man, how come she dresses? You know, you have these people that, and they put, and we put an emotional net around that person. Or we have that emotional net put around us.
Yeah, totally.
Right? You know, like I do with Bastion players. Uh, I say that because Tom's a bastard player. But the Bible says in Matthew chapter 7, verses 1 to 5, says, "Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged with the measure you use. It will be measured to you."
Yeah.
Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own?
Right.
How can you say to your brother, "Let me take the speck out of your eye," when all the time there's a plank in your own? You hypocrite. First take the plank out of your own eye, then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye.
Yeah,
First
I love
take
that.
the speck out of your, take the plank out of your own eye, and then take the speck, because you'll
Yeah.
see clearly enough to do it. So that's a reminder. That's not even like part of the movie. It's about the first part of the movie. It's not even part of the movie.
Yeah.
But it reminds me that we need to approach our friends and family with a heart of humility. If we see there's something that we can continue to help them with, we need to make sure that we have ourselves right. And how do we make sure we have ourselves right without making yourself that judge? Well, we have Christ as our marker.
Right.
And if we look in Scripture and commune with God about what that looks like, we can then start making these steps to help others that we see that they need it. Okay.
Yeah, totally. So
It also shows we need to look after the animals, not just ourselves.
Paul had a really cool point that I want to talk about. I feel like the kid has more of a bond with the whale than anyone else in the film. I think initially that is true, because so he ends up with this foster family and is very resistant to getting comfortable, right? Which is not uncommon.
Right.
And is very like I am not going to be here long. I'm not going to get attached. I don't care that these people are trying to get attached, right?
Right.
But as he spends more time with Willy, as he spends more time with this other being that that has been taken out of the family that he should have, and also remember Willy. Everybody talks about Willy as being like, he's such a jerk. He doesn't work well with anybody. He doesn't like people. Don't go near Willy. He's also very standoffish and doesn't want to connect with people.
Right.
But as their connection grows, Jesse becomes a lot more receptive to the friendship of the other trainer, to the guidance of the people who work at the park, the native people who work at the park, to his foster family. And by the end of the movie, when Willy goes back to the ocean, it's not a sad ending for either of them, even though they are saying goodbye to the first real connection that they've had maybe in their entire lives.
Oh.
It's not a sad ending because they are both with their families now. That he is going home with his foster family. He had those people in his life before he met Willy, but now he's ready to accept that love. He's ready to be a part of that family. I don't think that Willy is ready to be a part of a pod at the start of the movie, or when we meet him in the park.
Yeah.
but he certainly is by the time he goes home, and that's a little bit of, that's, well, I want to talk about that in a little bit, but like that is a little bit of movie magic.
Yeah.
But it's still, that's the story, is that that even though they found family in each other, it's not their long-term family. And that doesn't devalue the connection that they had, because that connection opened them up to loving other people. I think a lot about the disciples having to keep going after just a few years with Jesus, right?
Yes.
Not enough time walking around with Jesus. Going from physical proximity to Jesus for years to him being not gone, but physically gone,
Yeah.
has to have been such a difficult... I can't imagine how difficult that transition would be. But Jesus knows that it's going to be difficult, and he leaves them with this message in John 15, 12, and 13. My commandment is this, to love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. He's saying, love each other because I've loved you. The way that I have loved you, love each other that way. Continue to spread that love, to pass that love on, even though I'm not going to physically be here anymore. And I think that when they meet, that you're certainly right, that his strongest bond is just with the whale. But by the end of the movie, he doesn't need that anymore, and neither does Willy, and they're better for it. And I think that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I have another point too.
Yeah, you do. That was not his second point, by the way, folks. That was
yeah,
just
no,
adding
that was
on.
just yep. It also has to do with sometimes in life they say blood is thicker than water, meaning family is more meaningful than friends, but also you get water thicker than blood. Some people don't get on with family, and friends become their family. Yeah, like Lem and I have both talked about, like, we both have family members that are not blood related. My brother is my brother. Despite the fact that he's adopted, it doesn't make him less of my brother than my blood brother is. You know what I mean? Like, I have two brothers. One of them has my nose. That's the only difference. Yeah. All right. You also talked about environmentalism and how we're supposed to look after animals, not just ourselves, which is my next point, because I think like it's very hard to not go along with like a cultural narrative about what the group of people that you're associated with are supposed to care about. And I think in American culture, at least, it's pretty widely believed that like Christians are not environmentalists, that we don't care about nature. And that is pretty silly, because it's in chapter 1, y'all. It's in the first chapter in the whole book.
It's like going into McDonald's. It's asking the person behind the counter, "Hey, do you have hamburgers?" And the person says, "I don't know."
Yeah, man. It's like the first thing they told us to do. Then God said, "Let us make man in our own image, after our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea and the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the earth, over every creeping thing that crawls on the earth." We're not even in the book yet. People aren't even around yet when we are tasked with taking care of Earth. We are given that job before we exist. And I think we have lost sight of that sometimes. But that is one of our first things that we were told to do, is take after these other little life forms running around. Genesis 2:15 says, Lord God took man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and keep it. He created this garden, and think about the fact that God's making it. He can do whatever he wants. It doesn't need to be kept if God doesn't want it to need to be kept. But he has man work the land and maintain it, to steward the land. That's basically a word that means to take care of something, to encourage it to grow and watch after it. That is built into part of the plan, is for us to be taking care of the land. That's amazing. I just have a bunch of Bible verses because they're so beautiful. Jeremiah 2:7 says, I brought you into this peaceful land to enjoy its fruits and its good things, but when you came in, you defiled my land and made my heritage an abomination. So it's not even just in Genesis. The people of Israel continue to show up to a beautiful place and just sort of trash it. And I don't know what the equivalent of like throwing your McDonald's cup on the ground was in the time of Jeremiah. But not caring for the land that we've been given. And if you really believe that we are given this planet as a gift, which I do believe, that should impact the way that you think about taking care of it, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I have this last one, Numbers 35, 33 through 34, which is very confusing. Lots of 30s there. You shall not pollute the land in which you live, for blood pollutes the land, and no atonement can be made for the land for the blood that was shed in it, except for the blood of the one who shed it. Okay, so that's some weird translation, but it's basically saying that it's not just literally like polluting in the way that we tend to use that word, like throwing trash everywhere, that we spiritually pollute things sometimes. That the pollution that he's talking about here is he's saying that this land that they were given, they polluted it with bloodshed, with violence, right? And that you can't just wave that away and make the land pure again. It is going to be polluted with the blood that was spilled there, and it's going to take work to atone for those things. To take work to rebuild and foster those things again.
Yes.
And I think that is a beautiful metaphor, and I think that makes me think a lot about, am I responsible with the gift that I've been given, including the nature and the world that we live in? So yeah, that's what I got.
I'm laughing at the ads that James is getting.
Yeah,
James, you're talking about taking care of the earth. He got an ad for off-road cars.
And a Galaxy 5.
And protecting animals. Okay, that's better.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. We need. I wonder if there's a way to do that. Football. Oh,
to target the ads a little more.
Paul got
gambling.
Twitch, what are you doing?
That's crazy. You can't even gamble on Twitch, and they're still running ads for it.
That's crazy sauce.
Yeah. All right, you got another point?
I do have a point. This is my second point, and it looks like this might be all the time we have for my points. So hopefully you have.
I like this movie. I'm sorry, I ramble a little bit.
All right. So Glenn is the dad, or the foster dad, and you take a gamble on God, Paul? Maybe. Why not? In the end, you can't lose. It's a win-win, bro. But Glenn started off this whole thing. The foster home worker dropped off Jesse, and he had paperwork for Glenn to sign. And he was talking about the foster worker said that he just bought a car. He's like, I don't have to sign here. Yeah, I just bought a car. There's so much paperwork. And, by the time I was done, it was horrible. And Glenn said to him, yeah, well, this is a lease, not a buy. Talking about Jesse, the boy.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, was very much into quote unquote the buy.
Yeah.
Very much into it. She invested into his well-being, his comfort, and she barely knew. She barely knew this kid.
Yeah.
Right?
Dude, I don't know if you've seen any like people who run foster spots on like TikTok, and they'll like show them getting the room ready and everything. So much care and consideration goes into it.
Yeah.
Of like, we know we're meeting kids oftentimes in like the worst spot they've ever been in, and providing comfort for them and providing hospitality for them. It's so sweet. It makes me cry a little bit.
And she actually bought him clothes based on what she believes is his favorite stuff. Not her favorite stuff, but his favorite stuff. She made sure he had the best view in the house. She just wanted him to feel loved and taken care of. And the Bible speaks pretty plainly about orphans, widows, the fatherless, and such. And a lot of people think the Ten Commandments, because I thought this for a while. That Exodus is the Ten Commandments and walking a lot. That's it.
Right.
But there's so much more. Exodus 22 actually has social justice stuff. If you look down to verse 21, and I started at 22 really, but 21 is a really big thing. Do not mistreat or oppress a foreigner, for you are foreigners in Egypt. All right? But 22, do not take advantage of the widow or the fatherless. If you do, and they cry out to me, I will certainly hear their cry. My anger will be aroused, and I will kill you with the sword. I'm going a little bit further here. Your wives will become widows, and your children fatherless. God is serious, y'all. He's pretty serious about this. Take care and do not take advantage of. Isaiah. All right. Isaiah chapter 1, verse 7. This is just, I stopped at 3, but there were so many. Isaiah chapter 1, verse 17. Learn to do right. Seek justice. Defend the oppressed. Take up the cause of the fatherless. Plead the case of the widow. That's what Anna's doing. That's what the trainers are trying to do for Willy in that movie. Yeah. Right? It doesn't just say in the case of the take care of the earth piece, it doesn't say a thing about, hey, just the humans.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then Psalm 146, verse 9, I believe it is. Yes. The Lord watches over the sojourner and sustains the fatherless and the widow, but frustrates the ways of the wicked. So first off, what caught me was they used sojourner, and I play Overwatch, and sojourn's in it, so I had to look up what it means. It just means wanderer or foreigner. I was like, oh snap, okay, I can see that in her.
Yeah.
But it means take care of those folks. I know I'm guilty of seeing someone on the street and them needing money or help or whatever, these money for food or whatever like that, and not doing anything about it. Because and my wife and my middle kid and I have had this discussion last night. It was, you know, the misconception is for a lot of these folks, they might go buy drugs with it.
Yeah.
Well, I hope they buy some aspirin or some Neosporin if they're living out on the street, or some Advil or something. Heck, if you need me to go get you some, I'll do it because you might need that. But I know what they mean. Right? That's the misconception is that. But there are some people that they really just want the food. And we see that in Jesse in the beginning of the movie where he's begging for money. He's not going to buy drugs or something to a gun to stick somebody. He's trying to get some food.
Yeah.
Right? And then they turn to that life of crime to get the food. All they're stealing is food. Because they have no food. Mainly because they ran away from home. But he's trying to get food. So it's up to us. And do what's right for you in your soul and how God is talking to you. But I think I'm going to start carrying around like Ziploc bags full of like a quick snack and like non-perishable snacks and Band-Aids and aspirin and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That way if somebody says, hey, I need a few bucks for food. Hey, look, I don't give out cash. Yeah. But you're asking for food or medical something or other. I do have this.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, my dad and I were just having a similar conversation because at church we were going through Isaiah, and there's a part in Isaiah where it's talking about basically the people of Israel are doing really well. Like they're going to church, they're tithing, they're fasting, they're doing all these sacraments, and God is still not pleased. And the reason is because just they're doing all these things, but also they're ignoring the oppressed in their community. And he talks about people fasting, walking past starving people in the street, and he is upset about that. And my dad and I were talking about like, so how does that translate to today? Because homelessness is a different thing today than it was at the time.
Right. And
the conclusion that we both kind of agreed on at the end is like, regardless of how you feel about how different homelessness is today than it was back then, if your response is to do nothing, if your response is to ignore the problem or to walk past it and assume that somebody else will help, you are still repeating the cycle that Israel was repeating in that chapter, that you are still walking past people in need and ignoring the need. There's lots of different ways to approach it. I have a friend here in Salem who does a lot of homeless ministry. He's amazing at it. He was homeless for a long time and has used his second life to help people that are in similar situations that he was. And he tells people, don't give people cash. Instead, give to organizations that are built to allocate those resources in the most efficient and long-term way possible.
Yeah. Because they might be that preacher on the street might be thinking short-term.
Yeah.
So do what you can in the short term, like maybe give them food or get them something to eat. But then in the long term, give to the organizations.
Yeah. But the tricky part is you actually have to do it. You can't just say, I don't give to individuals because it doesn't address the systemic issue.
Yeah.
But if you say that while you're talking to somebody asking for $1 and then you walk off and don't think about it again, then you're just lying. You're just walking away. And that's basically what my friend told me is like, if you aren't gonna if you aren't going to give to an organization later, giving $1 there, then and there, is still better. It is still, it's not maybe the most efficient way to help, but it's better than not helping and then thinking that you did the right thing by not helping. Yeah. All right. Can we go a little over? Because I have a keychain rant.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you do your second?
No. I did my second. I didn't do my third.
Okay.
But the rant's not. The rant is a serious rant this time.
Okay, do your rant then.
Yeah. Okay, so
Wait,
not like a funny rant. It's
before you go. That was our second points. If you did not put a time in, Atlas, you have 10 seconds to do it.
So, it's still a keychain rant in the sense that it is me talking about information outside of the movie and how it relates, right? So Keiko is the name of the whale that played Willy.
Yes.
Okay. And Keiko lived a very interesting life. And he had this infection that affects whales in captivity. You can actually see it in some of the shots. It's under his like right dorsal fin.
Yeah.
And it was a really bad problem. They treated it for years and years and years. And over time, after they weren't using him to make movies anymore, he just sort of sat in a tank alone, bumming people out. And people heard about this, and they were like, the whale from Free Willy is in the situation from Free Willy.
Bro.
And this whole generation of kids who fell in love with whales because of this movie, me included. I was a little young to be involved in this, but this whole group of people who fell in love with whales because of this movie rallied together to return Keiko to the wild. It took a lot of years and millions of dollars. They had to train Keiko to hunt food again, to survive on his own. They had to introduce ocean water into his tank to try and like inoculate him to the bacteria in the ocean because he's lived in a swimming pool for his entire life. They had to work him out because in the wild, orcas swim about 100 miles a day. And he just wasn't physically fit enough for that. Most orcas in captivity couldn't swim 100 miles in a day.
So he was gamer orca.
Yeah, he was a gamer orca. Well, the equivalent is like about the size of my room is roughly the like proportion for an orca. So like how fit do you think I would be if I just had this room to be in my entire life? But I didn't have a PC. I didn't have anything to like do anything. So I would probably just sit still a lot. Yeah, exactly. But also if you have an orca brain and you're one of the most intelligent creatures on the planet, you need constant stimulation. They just don't have it. So they spent all of this time to get him ready to be introduced back into the wild. It was also, he was getting up in there in years, and it was getting riskier and riskier to transport him.
Yeah.
And they eventually did it. They successfully brought him back to the waters around Norway, which is where he's from. And it went okay, actually. He seemed to enjoy the freedom. The biggest problem is that he didn't like hunting for himself. And there were constantly scientists like monitoring him and watching him, and he figured out that they weren't going to let him starve. So all he had to do is not eat and they'll get him food. And if they didn't do it, then he would go find other people on boats and be like, "What up? I'm the guy from Free Willy. Give me some food, please."
What up? I'm the guy from Free Willy.
And basically,
oh my gosh, he turned into Pauly Shore.
he never really socialized with orcas.
Really?
Yeah, because even though the part of the orca brain that is in charge of social interaction and emotional intelligence is more developed in an orca than in a human.
Oh wow.
It's the only animal that certainly that I know of that's true of, that they have more complicated emotional centers than humans.
Wow.
And social centers. They have these really complicated social lives. Did I tell you about how orcas have fashion trends?
What?
Yeah, okay. So there was this one young male orca in Washington who put a salmon on his head and swam around with it. And then the other young male orcas in the pod started wearing salmon hats. And then the pods around their area started wearing salmon hats.
Are you kidding me?
And then the proximity kept growing. And then the initial orcas stopped doing it because everybody was doing it. So they stopped doing it. And then it became not cool anymore. So they stopped doing it. They have these really complicated social lives.
No, that's not true.
It's 100% true. Look up orca salmon hat.
Oh,
it's a very funny story.
That's fantastic. I require an orca story every time we talk.
Oh, I'm so down. Dude, I got to tell you about Port and Starboard.
I've heard those names.
Oh, I'm so excited. Next time.
Okay, all right.
But, so Keiko has a brain built for community.
Yes.
Which I believe that humans do too. But because he was separated from the way his life was supposed to be for so long, he lost that ability and he wasn't able to reacclimate. He died a couple years in, I think 2 years in. And it's still pretty hotly contested whether or not Keiko's releases should be viewed as a success. Because they did reintroduce him to the wild. He seemed to like swimming in the open ocean. He liked socializing with the people on the boats. But it had to be constantly monitored. He was scared a lot. He was uncomfortable a lot. And even though he was in the place that he was supposed to be, he felt like a fish out of water.
A black fish out of water.
A black fish out of water, yeah. Andy Mineo has this line where he says, "I thank God that he saved me from my sin, but not its consequences." And I think about that a lot because this movie has a happy ending. Willy goes back to the water and assumably just fits right back in with his family. The reality is, a lot of the time, the consequences of our sin have long-lasting and complicated consequences.
Yes.
Right? And we have to live with that. That does not mean that repenting from that sin and atoning for that sin isn't worth it. It's always worth it. And so is working through the consequences. That's not as uplifting as the jumping out of the water scene in Free Willy.
Yes. See down below.
Yeah. But I take a sort of melancholic sort of comfort in the idea of there are pieces of my sin that I am going to have to work incredibly hard and on this side of heaven may never see full recovery from. That doesn't mean I'm ever going to stop trying. And I have seen literally miraculous growth in a lot of areas. Things that I thought were impossible for me because of my decisions turns out God laughs at what we think is impossible. So yeah, that's what the ending of Free Willy makes me think about, and then the real world ending of Free Willy, and yeah, does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Kind of, definitely a rant, but yeah,
All right.
I like it.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Before we, no, let's pick the next movie. It's off of my list.
I'm gone next week.
Well, no, it's fine. We just pick the next movie, not the next time.
Sweet.
And speaking of time, I say we do A Wrinkle in Time.
Ooh, I really want to see that one. I haven't seen it yet.
I don't remember it. I know I've seen it, but I literally remember nothing about that. I think
So
I
funny.
remember.
All right, well that makes it a perfect
I
contestant.
could be wrong. Was Oprah in this movie? Because I remember Oprah for some reason.
I have no idea.
I need to know. Anyway, while you look that up real quick, I am going to read off the times that we have. Because Codger said 1 hour and 50 minutes. Paul said 33 minutes. Tom said 34 minutes. James said 1 hour. Atlas said 1 hour and 5 seconds. That's just shady, bro. And I'm keeping all my games this week.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How far'd you get?
24 minutes and 8 seconds.
That's actually crazy that nobody lowballed it. That's not that short. That's longer than a lot of movies.
It is longer than a lot of movies. I think it's longer than Godzilla. I don't remember how far I got in Godzilla.
Yeah, I don't know. That's nuts.
Yeah, but yeah, Turbo, bro. I got 56 minutes here to Turbo.
That's true.
All right.
Still crazy.
All right, everybody. This has been Faith and Film, Free Willy. And now we have a bunch of movies that we've chosen that should round us out for the rest of the year, maybe even to next year. And then maybe we'll have a series of some sort. I don't know. Maybe we should figure out a series.
That'd be great.
But thanks for being
All
here,
right.
everybody. Remember, Jesus loves you. So do I. So does that guy. I'm pointing at him. You can't see me pointing at him. James, it's not next week because Codger's out next week. But it's the next time we do it. It will be A Wrinkle in Time.
Which does have Oprah Winfrey in it, by the way.
It does have Oprah.
Just looked it up.
Okay, that's what I remembered. Thanks for being here. Jesus loves you. So do I. So does that guy. And always, always, always leave people better than you found them. Peace.
Peace.
I mean, it says be back soon, but not like real soon. not real soon.
Yeah. I mean, technically we will be, depending on a cosmic scale, it's going to be like a second from now.
It's very soon.
Yeah.
But it won't be like the regular schedule. Bye, everybody.